Hello there, and welcome back to a new video of Stalevar. Last video you have seen the big satellite dish Rudi made, and today it was again my turn to continue on this project. And again we are joined with a full crew this time, Sylv
Hey everybody.
and Rudi.
Hello.
So I would just want to start saying that I removed part of your ball you duplicated here, Rudi, in the last video.
That's totally fine, yeah. As we talked about, just for dimension reasons, so don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. So and while I was doing that, I just started on continuing the building actually, so making it more like a bigger factory, including the road that you made, including that go through the building, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. It kind of gives you a feeling of the size and of the, these kind of factories always are like pretty big and wide open. So I like that you incorporate the road because it gives you that feeling of space. I like that.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to add a large door that's on the road, or what I'm going to place in the factory itself. But yeah, that's something for another episode for sure.
Yeah, that's like the best phrase of every Planet Coaster video ever.
True.
That's something for another episode.
Yeah. Well, I first was planning to finish off this building, but after a couple of hours work, I realized it was not even possible to do one side of the building. So yeah.
Wow. That's insane. But man, it's your level of detail that kind of brings you into the position of spending hours and hours and doing that. So
Yeah,
I think it's yourself to blame there.
I'm just wondering, that's an animated door with the coaster going through it?
Yes, something like that, right?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, but I'm still fiddling with the clearance around the door, so yeah, it's not finished yet.
Right. Oh, that's a really cool head chopper. But if I'm on the coaster, then I really pray to God that the automatic door is actually working and not malfunctioning.
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, that was just a bit of a snarky comment, but it's a really cool idea. I just think without an automatic door, it might be a bit safer.
Yeah, that's true. Is there actually I was just thinking about if there is a coaster with a high-speed part that has doors like that.
No, I'm pretty sure they don't exist.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, just imagine Taron had one in the launch section and the second one. That'd be... I think probably they would have never get the TÜV improvement.
You know what I think would have been like super amazing, but obviously this is not in the realm of realism, but to have a launch with just a bunch of doors, and as you speed up, the doors in front of you all just open one after another. That would just be so sick. It would just violate every single safety rule ever, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, in the coaster that's coming to Park Asterix, it's gonna be a high-speed switch track, so that's even worse than a door. So.
True.
Yeah, I saw that. Wow, yeah.
That is true. And I've always been really, well, maybe not concerned, but because obviously they've really patched out all of the issues with this system. But I've been super impressed with how they actually managed to increase their switch track systems, because you can really tell that Intamin at least has moved from a lot of switch tracks at the brake runs, at the station, at the ends of layouts where they're not as dangerous, to having switch tracks over launches, and now having switch tracks at a super high speed section. It's really impressive.
It is indeed, yeah.
And that is definitely one of my most anticipated coasters of the next few years as well.
Yeah, your region in general gets a lot of good coasters. Damn, it's like I mean, if you just see what kind of Walibi got in the last couple of years, or also Phoenix, and a lot of great coaster installments in the Netherlands and also Belgium. That's really cool.
Yeah, and Walibi Belgium is getting an Intamin hypercoaster. No, actually, it's a Mack hypercoaster, wasn't it? Or wasn't it Intamin?
It's Intamin.
No, it's an Intamin. Yeah. But it looks more like an RMC. It has all of these crazy elements. It looks really amazing. Definitely looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, that's a good times for coaster enthusiasts in this region. I'm really also planning when I can go everywhere. Like next year will be a sick year when Fly also finally is open.
Oh yeah.
Well, we can hope.
Yeah, we have to hope. But no, I think progress is good enough.
Yeah. But coming back to the switch track, I guess that does make sense. I guess the switch track is another kind of thing where they have to get something ready in time on a high-speed coaster. So perhaps an automatic door isn't entirely out of the question, but there's got to be some way to make it safe.
True.
Make them out of cardboard, maybe. Then make it safe.
Yeah, because I really wonder though, because usually the way to make something safe is to kind of make it the automatic thing. So for roller coaster brakes, for instance, brakes will automatically work in case of a power outage, or in the case of restraints on roller coasters, they need power to open. So their standard position is closed. There are all of these systems in place, which basically mean like that the default position for all the moving parts of a roller coaster are basically safe. And with that switch track, it's different. If power goes out and it's somewhere in the middle of that switch track area, I wonder how that is gonna work, because it's not like it's an automatic system where the switch track will automatically switch somehow to make the coaster complete the circuit. So I don't know. I'm really curious how they managed to work that out.
Yeah, because it still has to know on which side of the switch it is. So yeah, that's kind of tricky. But I assume, if I remember correctly, it doesn't have like a launch before and after the switch. So that kind of, can it revert into being a brake then? That's like my idea I have in mind. But yeah, I don't know really.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I mean, with doors, that would potentially then work. Like, first of all, have a material that maybe is kind of, not as steady as metal or something. And at the same time, make sure that the default position is open. So I think these are the two things that you would need to maintain, or make sure that they are maintained the right way. And then it could potentially happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could definitely work.
It's like almost like switching the idea of a door, like that you have like an automatic pull system that pulls the door open if there is no power engaged, and only for power engaged, because then you could also easily have like a system where the coaster track goes past the sensor, which kind of just switches off the energy. So and that could be a way. But anyways, I'm not an engineer here. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, because then you get into malfunctioning sensors as well, which are the most common way for a coaster to break down. It's very complicated, and we're all just amateurs here.
That's true. I mean, the one thing is kind of they will have their checklists, I guess, and I don't know if there will be like an automated checklist thingy that you have not only a sensor, obviously, but also like camera technology. I recently saw that a lot of camera technology is also now automated, so that you have all the security cameras not only run the security modes, they also run like AI enhanced kind of scanning, and they can see where a coaster car is and stuff like that. So it kind of is also used as a tracker, if you will, and this is then ported into a system that knows exactly where the trains are. And actually they brought it, if I remember correctly, from racing, from Formula 1. That's how the telemetry data worked. And
Oh really?
So, okay. Well, it's not the same technology, but they also use like TV cameras to better understand the positioning of the car before they use GPS, and so they kind of use both systems at the same time to improve the overall positioning of the cars. So that's what they, for example, work with to find the right spot to bring them out to have a clear track ahead or so. So that's what I could imagine also as a double layer, if you will.
Yeah.
Man, I love what you're doing here.
Yeah, I was just about to say we might need to catch up to the video again.
Yeah, so here I wanted to do something on the docks again, kind of filling out the sides part, and also have another crane there, and including like those small carts you see here, where the cranes then potentially can put stuff in, and then they can roll inside of the building. So kind of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also think I removed the coaster door where we were talking about earlier. So
Okay,
yeah.
no need to talk about safety reasons for 10 minutes. Damn.
But yeah, I probably we can see that we may still add them later or so, but I think I just removed them for now. It looked nicer without the door, I thought, so.
I guess it makes sense anyway then. But I don't know. If anybody's knowledgeable enough about this in the comment section, whether you can have opening doors on a roller coaster track, I'd be really interested to know. It could be fun to experiment with something like that.
I mean, hell, we are in the coaster community. If someone
Yep.
knows, you will know. It's almost like with an iPhone in the days, right?
Yeah, right. Plus, we're gonna have some moving doors in this thing, but it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be just the dark ride section, which of course is a very different context.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Oh man, I'm always stunned by how much detail you put in. Like having one pipe as a detail is great, but you just add these second pipes below, connect them even with like small pipes and stuff and connectors.
Oh
Damn.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe adding even more pipes, but for this section, I think I'm going to keep it like this. So.
Hmm.
I really like that.
It's almost getting some kind of industrial cyberpunk kind of look to it with all of these machinery on the outside. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I really like how this turns out in general. Like, this is always so good. If having 3 people in a project that have completely different building styles and also different ideas and visions in mind how it should turn out. I always love how different it turns out to be, because you have these different kind of drives that pull in or push in a totally different direction, and what the project basically is kind of the sweet spot of all of them moving forward. I just love that always. It's always the same. I just always love to see how this really moves, and I'm super glad that you took over here again, operateur, and now just forcing us, which is great, to work with this new really great building. And I love also that the coaster now switches from inside outside quite often at very high speed, so that gives you also a bit more of near miss elements and a lot more immersion. I really love that.
Yeah, true. There is a couple of places that the coaster enters this building. I think it's 2 or 3 locations. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Is there also a bit of Terran inspiration in that? Because I know Terran does this quite a few times, and personally it's something I really like about it.
Oh yeah, true. Those in buildings indeed are really nice on Terran.
Oh yeah, that's true. I have to admit, I'm pretty sure you guys know the early Terran version that Toby built in the No Limits builder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you both, yeah. I recently saw that again when he only had the track without the scenery around. God, this is such a mess. Like, if you only see the track of Terran without all the scenery, you just like, it just makes you dizzy. It's really insane. It's not only that it adds so much to the immersion, but it also adds a lot of kind of making it at least look somewhat structured, if you will. This coaster is mad, really.
Yeah, did you know that there is gonna be a clone of Terran in China?
Yep,
Oh.
I've heard of it.
I haven't, but I'm not
I think,
surprised.
aren't they already building it? At least I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
But you know, the year is 2019. It's impossible for a coaster to be built without a clone following it shortly in China somewhere.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they even copy our castles from Germany, so I'm not surprised.
That is true. But I mean, in this case, I guess it's also very much just a benefit for both sides. The manufacturers get to sell another coaster, which they're sure will sell well, and the parks get something of which they know already what it's going to be like. And, you don't have to recalculate all of the forces and everything.
That's definitely true. And I even
Although-
believe... Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, I think there you do lose a bit of charm here, because with unique coasters, it's the one true deal. You go there and you feel like you've ridden Terran, and there's only one of them in the world, so it's just Terran. And as soon as there's another one, it becomes a copy of an off-the-shelf model, and it loses that uniqueness. And I do think that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that's very true, unfortunately. But yeah, I gotta say though, on the other hand side, you potentially can have some. I don't know if they will. It's not that huge, I guess. But you, especially with China, you will definitely get the Chinese people to maybe visit the original one, if you can get that story pulled off. So you will maybe have the exchange of enthusiasts that go also to Germany to experience the original Terran. I mean, especially the Chinese people are crazy in terms of traveling. So could be also that this is somewhat of a synergy effect here.
Oh yeah, true. And I have to say, I mean, I haven't interacted with them much, but the Chinese coaster enthusiast community seems really awesome. And I've seen a lot of Western big people in the coaster community have meetups with them, and just overall there are so many POVs of Chinese coasters coming out, which is really cool to see. So altogether, the communities might be kind of disconnected between a large geographical difference and language barriers and all that, but altogether there's some really interesting collaboration between the two as well. And I'm super glad that I can watch the Chinese POVs from here on my computer on YouTube as well, because I'll probably never even write them anyway.
That's absolutely true, yeah. They have some great coasters there.
What I was wondering about cloning over rides like Terran, I first thought that it was maybe kind of not allowed to do. That the park would say, just give me a coaster that no one else can copy, but seems not then. How does it work?
Well, I think in the case of the Terran clone, it's still being built by Intamin. And as far as I know, most of the clones, at least of well-respected rides, for instance, there are a lot of clones of Blue Fire around the world, but that's also just kind of how it's meant to be. I think Blue Fire was more or less just a prototype for the coaster type, and now they've built many across the world. There are many clones of the 10 inversion coaster by Intamin. I think in general, it's just something that coaster manufacturers do on purpose because it's a good business model. And I think the point in case is Vekoma as well, who pretty much decided to do exclusively cloned rides. It's always been kind of their business model, but especially nowadays with the Firestorm and Shockwave and everything, they really just put out one layout and just leave everyone open to request them to build it, which I think it makes sense. There are a few cases where the clones are built by other manufacturers. I've seen quite a few Vekoma SLC rip-offs by Chinese knockoff manufacturers.
Oh yeah.
But even then, I don't think that it's ever been much of a copyright issue. Although maybe that's also just because copyright is kind of a different thing in China. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Because they undoubtedly do have patents on their rights. There's some kind of intellectual property breach there, probably. But most of the star attractions that you see being copied, really well-known rides and well-respected rides like Terran, maybe Blue Fire a little bit less, but rides like these are definitely just done by the same manufacturers and definitely all legal.
Yeah.
I do wonder though if, for example, Phantasialand has some, I don't know if they get a amount of fee for the brand. Like, you know, I mean, Terran as a brand is definitely held by Phantasialand and all the merchandising that goes with it.
Right.
And so I wonder if they, you know, just like, you know, pay whatever you want and just sell it however you want, but we get a fee of, I don't know, 10% or so. I mean, that would be a huge business model for Phantasialand as well, to just say, well, okay, why not? And just go with it, but we get a part of it. I think that could be a thing because, like, as far as I know how licenses work in general, like Disney did this, I don't know how many million times, you know, just giving their licenses away for whatever, but just made sure that they get the money out of it. That's how they spread the whole brand across the whole world. And, you know, as a theme park being a lot smaller, that's fairly a different thing. But still, I could imagine that this could also be like the trade-off that Phantasialand goes for. And for sure, this distance, like for China being so far off Germany, it's not really competition. So if they would hand the same thing to, let's say, Wallaby, that'd be a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the identity and the branding of a ride never really relies on the layout. So I don't think that'll be quite the case. And yeah, just like you said, very often these clones are really far apart from each other and existing in completely different continents. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'll be that much of an issue. I do wonder though, because you have to make a difference between rides that were originally custom and then happened to be cloned on request by other parks, and rides that were always meant to be, you know, an off-the-shelf model. So, for instance, Walibi Holland, who built the first SLC coaster, might not be that great of a coaster, but I'm pretty sure they knew at the time that they were buying what was an off-the-shelf model. So if a park nearby built the exact same coaster, you know, there was no reason for them to get mad at Vekoma, because they should have known right from the get-go that the exact same coaster would be built elsewhere. But with Terran, that was a completely custom coaster. So I don't think Phantasialand would have known or expected that a copy would have been built anywhere else. And this is all just speculation, of course, but it really logically seems that way. So that's definitely a different case.
I mean, to support your idea here, I definitely think also that you need a whole lot of money to make sure that you can copy a ride like Terran, because you can't just put that layout somewhere. As I said, the layout is just insane. You just, you know, you need to build something around that, and not every theme park could do that. But with all the other off-the-shelf models, for example, what RMC did with Golden Lasso, and I always forget how the other one is called, which is basically only
a Railblazer.
A Railblazer, yeah, exactly. So, you know, you can basically put them everywhere and just put another sign on the entrance. That's about it. So it's very cheap, you know, and so yeah, really interesting story and kind of thing to talk about. But anyways, I can see already the wonderful shots here. So, operateur, is it already the end?
Yeah, it's the end. Well, one thing I wanted to add about the Terran clone, just before we end, I don't think Phantasialand is going to be that happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
As we know how they are, so.
Yeah.
Again, nicely
I totally agree.
You two guys are good politicians today.
Well.
Yeah. Wow, these shots are awesome.
I really like the way that the shadows play with all of the scenery. Having those metal beams over there really makes for interesting shadows.
Yeah, I didn't want to close the roof, so we still have sun lighting, because the shadows in Blanco, you know, not that great.
Yeah,
but
good point. Yeah, I think this is an amazing solution.
I really love it, to be honest. Like what you did also with the raised parts within the building. Where you know, if there would be delivery or whatever, that this is raised or so. Awesome, I love it.
Yep, but there was still a lot of work on this building for sure. So
yeah, but we're getting there. This is awesome.
Yep. So I want to thank you guys for joining me in this video.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And for all the rest, thank you for watching. Give the video a like if you think it deserves it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And the next video will be again on the channel of Sylv. Am I correct?
I guess so.
I guess so, yeah.
So see you in the next video then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.